Hello, everyone, and welcome to the World Cup of upsets. We've been seeing some pretty unconventional results out there in New York, especially, where teams that you expect to win comfortably are losing pretty badly. And what do you have to say about that, DK?
Yeah, so just been a wide variety of upsets this tournament already. Like 3 results so far that have gone the other way that we expected a certain team to win, and the first one has got to be USA versus Pakistan. USA playing their first ever ICC tournament, and they're going up against Pakistan, who have won the World Cup. They won the T20 World Cup as well, so they're a good side. But you expect Pakistan to beat USA convincingly in the first phase of play, but then no, the game had to go to a super over. And even then, it felt like Pakistan had the upper hand. They were bowling first. They had to chase a target at 1 over, but then they completely lost the plot. And USA, congratulations.
Yeah, and I guess it didn't help Pakistan's case that India sent agents like Saurabh Netrawalkar into the fold. And that wasn't the only surprising defeat for Pakistan, was it?
Yeah, because even going into the India match, the way the first innings unfolded, we kind of expected Pakistan to be the superior side. They had to chase 120. They knew what target they had to go for, and it seemed like an easy enough result. But then till the 17th or the 18th over, they were leading pretty comfortably, and Jasprit Bumrah's final over that was the icing on the cake if you're an Indian fan. So, yeah, another major upset, I would say, even though I expected India to win. Till that 19th over, I thought India were out of the game, and then out of nowhere.
Yeah, and Pakistan's neighbors are on the other side of the upsets this time, winning against New Zealand.
Yeah, Afghanistan versus New Zealand, a cracker of a game. New Zealand were a bit sluggish going into the tournament, but the margin by which Afghanistan beat New Zealand, 84 runs, that's not something that you expect like a test-playing nation of the caliber of New Zealand to lose by.
Another relatively new team to the scene, almost entirely new team to the scene, Canada, ended up beating Ireland, which, again, you do not expect these results, guys.
Yeah, Canada beat Ireland, and Ireland are a test-playing nation. They have a decent enough history in ICC tournaments. They've beaten England a bunch of times in World Cup. So yeah, it was a little bit unexpected. Canada also taking the win. I don't know what North Americans are on, but yeah.
And the Netherlands almost got the better of South Africa, which was, again, it's not really an upset because South Africa won, but nobody expected them to come that close.
Yeah, for sure. And Netherlands have a pretty good record against South Africa when it comes to ICC tournaments. I think they won all their games against them. So in my book, it is kind of an upset. But a proper struggle from the South African batters. It shouldn't have gotten to that stage. They kept losing wickets at regular intervals. But then, David Miller and Tristan Stubbs.
Yeah. And South Africa seems to be doing the opposite of choking so far, where, they do really badly, but they manage to pull one over in the end, and they managed to beat Bangladesh that way as well.
True. And against Sri Lanka as well. They somehow scrap through these wins from unwinnable positions. So really good for South Africa. And I think, they're probably one of the first teams to qualify because they won 3 on the trot.
So digging into why we may be having all of these upsets, because, upsets are not something new to the World Cup. It is a very terrifying and highly competitive stage. But we seem to be seeing more of them this World Cup than we've seen in a while.
If you look at the average first innings score, compare it with the last 2 World Cups, and 2021 was held in Dubai and Abu Dhabi as well. So there also the scores weren't like lighting the tournament on fire, but it was still decently above par, reaching that 140, 150 average mark. And Australia's Australia, it's going to give you good pitches. But here in this year's World Cup, that average first inning score has come down considerably. It's like touching 140, and it's not even it's at the high 130s. And I think the main reason for that, the West Indian pitches have been pretty good as well. But the grounds in New York, even Dallas has been pretty decent. But New York, if you look at the stats, the average first inning score over there is 108. It's not looking that great as a T20 pitch. And if you take a further look at the stats, in the first 2 games, they did not cross 100 runs, all 4 teams that played. And the game after Canada versus Ireland, no team has been able to cross 120 runs. So there's something definitely up with the New York pitch, I think. And that's a reason why we're seeing a lot of upsets, a lot of unconventional results so far.
Well, I wish I could show you a Manhattan graphic of how the scores have fallen and how the Big Apple is taking a bite out of cricket.
So one of the major reasons why we could be seeing these low scores is because of the reason that the pitches could be a little undercooked or underprepared. So the fact is, for this World Cup in New York, Nassau County International Stadium, they're using drop-in pitches prepared in Australia. So these drop-in pitches, they are usually prepared in very favorable conditions and they're enclosed in a steel case. They're not allowed to, really grow where the stadium is supposed to be. They're prepared in an external condition. And then after that,
they're dropped in, literally.
Exactly, yeah.
And that's why we're seeing a drop in score. And the average first inning score is well down under what it should be.
Ideally for a T20 World Cup.
The lack of testing may be one of the reasons the drop in pitch is failing.
There's a pretty good chance that's the case because even when Bangladesh toured USA just before the World Cup, they played all their matches in Houston. So that was a pretty tested pitch. And then after that, for the T20 World Cup, the first match that was played at Nassau County was the India versus Bangladesh warm-up game. So this ground has not been tested that much. Usually when they do, implement drop-in pitches, there are a lot of games are played over there. They played domestic cricket, they played franchise cricket. So they really should have been given more opportunity to see this ground out and actually test it, see how the seam is moving and all that stuff.
So it seems like it may not be drop-in pitches that are the problem. It may be this particular drop-in pitch that is the issue. Because what would happen normally is if a pitch was underperforming or didn't test well, then the groundskeeper is probably going to dig it up and, throw some fresh dirt on it and he's going to roll it until it's sorted. But I don't think you can do that with these plug-and-play type pitches.
Exactly. Even the pitch curator, not the curator, the man who made it, he said that they were trying to use American soil in order to really, give it the best sort of conditions that it could give a favorable wicket to. But unfortunately, things just didn't mash well together beneath the pitch.
They tried using the land of the free, but the batsmen are all tied up. Another thing that's a cause for concern is that the New York venue is being absolutely assaulted with games, like no breaks. I'm not sure how the drop-in pitch feels about it, but that is a lot of games to be playing in such a short span of time. So one of the reasons I think associate nations have been doing especially well is because this pitch is heavily anti-batsman. These teams can just focus on chasing down low scores and not as much on their bowling, and they still do fine.
Yeah, more or less. Like, this pitch has been a great equalizer of sorts. Even in the West Indies, there are some teams that are putting up really good fights with low totals. And I think one of the players from Uganda, he has one of the lowest ever spells in terms of runs conceded. So if you are a slightly weaker team going up against, a test-playing nation's batting lineup, and if you do bat first, you don't put up a lot of runs. Let's say you cross 100 runs, 110 runs, that could be a good enough barrier. Because the pitch offers you so much movement and so much across the rest of the game, so much turn, that, ideally you could be defending those very low totals. There's a good chance.
Do you think ICC deserves a round of applause for leveling the playing field, or do you think they should be criticized?
We finally have a World Cup that's happening in USA. So I guess this is all par for the course. And if you take a look at the current points table, and see that amongst the seeded teams, right now, the second seeded team, or in the case of the Australia-England group, the first seeded team may not be making it to the next round. So, there are these heavy hitters. Sri Lanka, there's England, then there's Pakistan, New Zealand. They're all four teams that, were seeded. They were part of the top 8 going into the tournament. There's a pretty good chance that they may not make it to the Super 8. So I guess I may have to give ICC props for making such a weird and dynamic tournament where every day the odds are changing and your favorite team could get knocked out. So, yeah, I guess.
Scripted for the Americans' benefit. Well, let's see. So that's it from us on this video. Let us know what you think. Do you think drop-in pitches are the future, or, do you think they're just killing the game? We'd like to know more from you. And as always, like, share, and subscribe. And me and DK will take turns and sometimes get together to bring you more content. And stay tuned.
Thank you.
Thank you.